Welcome back to a little bit of cheese, your daily bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast. I'm your host, Cody Depius, and today you get a first look here on the YouTube of my hair. Hopefully I get that cut soon, but that is the least of our topics today. And I'm sorry I didn't really bring it up yesterday because my mind for Milwaukee is more set on them working towards and beating one of the best teams in all of baseball, if not the best team in all of baseball, in the Philadelphia Phillies. But the Brewers clinched the NL Central yesterday. The Brewers are, for the third time in 4 years, NL Central champions. And this is maybe one of the most movie-like storylines that I've experienced with this Brewers team. This is incredible. We'll go into all that. We got some exciting Packers news. But once again, thank you for being here today. So we'll go over the game yesterday. We'll take you the story from top to bottom, as it was a pretty good one yesterday. In the afternoon, the Cubs lost to Oakland, where the Brewers' magic number at the beginning of the day, which for those that don't know, I think I explained it before, but I'll explain it again. It's either the Brewers would need to win that many games or the Cubs would need to lose that many games. And it can be a combination of those two. So the Brewers' magic number was at 1, which would have meant that if the Cubs won, then the Brewers would have needed to win last night for the Brewers to have clinched the NL Central. But the Cubs lost in the afternoon, so the Brewers were crowned NL Central champions before even having to play that ball game against Philadelphia. So the Brewers, they were a little bit giddy, is how it was, surprised as they were walking around the clubhouse before the game against Philadelphia, which was a pretty big game, might I add. It is, as I said, this is one of the best teams in all of baseball, and they had a rubber match at home. You can go win on a Thursday night. And last year, it was interesting situation, but very similar to what Milwaukee had yesterday, where they clinched due to another team. I think it was the Cardinals losing last year. So the Brewers had already won the division and then later lost the game that night. So they started popping champagne and celebrating after a loss because they had won the division title, not due to them winning a game that day, but due to a division rival losing that game. So it could have been a similar situation, but spoiler alert, it was not the case. So then they go to the ball game. Freddie Peralta, a guy who we've talked a lot about, he's supposed to be the ace for this team. He went out and gave a start that I would be more than happy to see him give when it comes playoff time. He went 5 innings, gave up just 1 run on 2 hits, 2 walks. He struck out 9. The only run that he gave up was due to a Alec Bohm solo shot in the second inning. Freddie pitched great. 9 strikeouts once again. And you don't love the length here, only 5 innings from your ace. But if you can get this kind of quality out of Freddie Peralta, even if it's just 5, if you can get 6 innings, then I'm very happy. But 5 innings, you're more than satisfied if it gets to playoff time. And that's what he gives you. 1-run ball through 5 innings, perfection. Nothing more, nothing less. Get us there, get it to the bullpen, let them shut it down. And that's exactly what them boys did. It was a combination of Joe Ross, Koenig, Trevor McGill, and Devin Williams, who came and pitched the next 4 innings of the ball game and shut the door. 4 innings pitched, no runs given up, 7 strikeouts. 3 of those were from Devin Williams in that 9th inning. He looked electric. He's really on one right now. But this bullpen as a whole yesterday, it felt like a playoff atmosphere. And they kind of said it throughout the game and during the broadcast. Like, these guys, they don't want to celebrate tonight after losing a ball game. And they really played like they didn't. The offense early was provided by Rhys Hoskins, he tied it up with a solo home run in the 5th inning, giving it back to his former team, as he was a Philadelphia Philly through the first part of his career. Now, of course, a Milwaukee Brewer. Tied it up. So it was a 1-run ball game going into the bottom of the 9th. And then with Jackson Chourio up to lead off, it felt like a movie. An 0-1 count to Chourio. He lines a triple, belly flops into third base, and it was just picture perfect. He's been the story of this team. If you can find one superstar for this Milwaukee Brewers team that just won the National League Central when nobody else is expecting it, it is Jackson Chourio. And who better to lead off the bottom of the 9th inning after you had just clinched the division to go and take a series from the best team in all of baseball record-wise. That is Jackson Chourio leads off with a triple. That is then followed up by William Contreras' intentional walk. Garrett Mitchell then struck out. Willy Adames drew a tough walk. And then everybody's favorite is Jake Bauers up to the plate, and he ripped a single to right field to take Jackson Chourio home and get the Brewers into that clubhouse with a victory. This is a very, very fun game, and I kind of feel bad for my neighbors whenever the Brewers win a walk-off at a night game because I get a little bit enthusiastic. I kind of went into play-by-play mode last night, especially when Chourio hit that triple. He belly flops into third, trying to send the Brewers home with a win. It was fun. It was it was really great. I think Bree was washing dishes. We bought a new hamster. It was a very good night last night and a very entertaining ball game. We went out, we got wings, got to see some friends, watched a little bit of the ball game. We watched Rhys Hoskins tie it up, and we got to come home. And I turned it on when Devin Williams was about to go out there for the top of the ninth inning. He closes the door. Chourio's up. I've talked about it before. He's the reason why you want to watch Brewers baseball, is to watch Jackson Chourio hit. And now you get to watch him hit in big spots because that's where the season's led us, and that's how good the team's been. And he was able to. He executed, got to third, and he just needed one guy to take him home. And I actually apologize. He was not the leadoff guy. I believe he hit second because there were two outs and the bases loaded when Jake Bauers is up to hit that walk-off hit. But Chourio hitting second in the order, same difference. It was an incredible moment overall. But this team, and I mentioned it a little bit, this is it's a movie-like script for this year. It's incredible. You win the division last year, your first round exits to a team that goes all the way to the World Series. You lose your general manager who turned this franchise around in David Stearns, who came in when this team was really bad and completely turned it around and given them pretty much 75 to 80% of all their playoff berths in franchise history in just, I think it was an 8-year span. Craig Counsell was there right with them, considered one of the best managers in baseball. He was through all those good times. He leaves due to money, goes to your division rival. And it's kind of funny. I'll bring it up in a little bit. And then you trade away your Cy Young winner in Corbin Burnes. You lose your second best pitcher, Brandon Woodruff, to surgery. You lose another guy who you brought in to kind of take over that role in Wade Miley, 37-year-old guy. He's been a beast whenever he's played for Milwaukee. He's out due to Tommy John surgery in his arm, out for the year. So you're missing 3 of your top 4 guys, of course, that you would have wanted on that squad. And in return, you get these young guys, and some of them I didn't even know the name of. Tobias Myers comes to mind. I didn't know who he was before this year, but has pitched to a 3.07 ERA, and he's going to get some Rookie of the Year votes. He really will. And that's the little bit of the situation. You lose Devin Williams at the beginning of the season until August. You lose Christian Yelich once it gets to August, who is having an MVP type season. It's like every piece of adversity that you could have imagined for this Brewers team, they overcame. This was incredible. And the funny part yesterday, the Brewers, the way I think it was described where I saw it on Facebook, the Brewers throw shade through a thin veil at Craig Counsell, where they posted that picture of Pat Murphy kind of with his arms crossed, his chest puffed out, and it says, "This is your manager of your NL Central Division champions," where a lot of people, and probably myself included, expected for that person to be Craig Counsell once again. But it's not. It is Pat Murphy leading this young, ragtag, hardworking, scrappy group of kids that somehow has the 3rd best record in all of baseball and is surging into the playoffs, where you hope that they can work and get a 1 or a 2 seed in the National League and get that first round bye. But it's been a movie-like season. It's a storybook. And during all the celebration, of course, after the game, they're in the clubhouse. They get to pop champagne. And I've said it before, kind of on this podcast, and I didn't talk about it in this specific situation where I kind of said, oh, if I was working at the bar, I couldn't let Jackson Churio in. And it didn't really hit until like mid game yesterday when they started talking about it on the broadcast. Like, oh, if the Brewers, like, they're going to have to celebrate tonight, like, what's Jackson Churio going to do? He's not 21 yet. Well, the Brewers, they had a uh, perfect solution to this problem. They filled up a baby stroller, put a Jackson Churio jersey over it, and filled it up with non-alcoholic beverages. Like a Coors Edge was the beer in there, and I think they had like some champagne mocks that were in there. It was pretty funny, which I'm sure Jackson Churio definitely didn't have any alcohol last night. No, if he would have went anywhere in the city of Milwaukee, he would have drank for free. Absolutely. But it was kind of funny on that end. And then to see Bob Uecker, of course, he's 90 years old, still broadcast play-by-play for the game. There's a video circulating on Twitter. I believe it's from Ben Brust, if you want to look it up. But he was driving on the freeway just past American Family Field, like right when Jake Bauers hit the walk-off single, and he had Uecker on the radio, so you can hear Uecker call the game. And he even said on his on the post, he said, "I know I shouldn't be using my phone and driving, but this is one of the coolest moments ever." He had Uecker broadcasting the play-by-play over the radio. He panned his phone out to right field, and you could see the fireworks going on as Uecker was declaring Milwaukee victorious. It was beautiful. And I say, I don't know if I've said it on this podcast, but my favorite baseball movie is Moneyball. Of course, it's the whole, we were good last year. We weren't able to win the whole thing. We lost a lot of our guys. Now what are we going to do? How are we going to be a good team this year? That's exactly the similar type of storyline that the Milwaukee Brewers have this year. Like, this could literally turn into a movie. Of course, Oakland didn't win the World Series that year, so who cares? You can make a movie out of anything. And there is a documentary out right now, actually. It was just released within the last month. It's about the 1982 Brewers. But this team, it's weird, but it's so special. I don't know exactly what I expect come playoff time. I'm doubting them. I doubted them when I was going into the season, and I'm the biggest Brewers fanatic that you're going to meet. It's like, you can't lose all of these pieces, the integral parts of this team you think is your general manager and your manager. But you had the guys that were behind the scenes too. You had Matt Arnold, who was there and helping David Stearns with probably almost every move that he made. Matt Arnold steps in the general manager role, and I think does it to an even better extent than David Stearns did. And of course, it's a smaller sample size, but it's like, you go out, you get Frankie Montas, who comes in and looks like an all-star caliber pitcher. Aaron Savali, like, are you kidding me? It's the things that he has come up with and brought in, and the player development system. And Pat Murphy, he was the assistant manager for Craig Counsell. He was Craig Counsell's college coach, actually. That's how he got brought into the organization. He'd been around these guys. He was seen as he was probably seen as similar to a father figure to a lot of these guys. They're close to him. They know him. They understand him. And he is a people person. He knows how people work. He knows how to coach. And that is why you see your Milwaukee Brewers in the situation that they are. I'm elated. I don't know what this team's going to do. Maybe they fall flat on their face when they get in the playoffs again. Whatever. But gosh darn it, they really gave us one heck of a summer. And I hope that they can really do something out of it. And you can see a lot of people talk about it on Twitter. Go get Uecker a ring before he leaves Milwaukee. Just that would just put the cherry right on top of it. Just go get Uecker a ring. Well, that's my Brewers kind of celebration. I'm not going to call it a rant, but I got to go off a little bit for kind of the emotions that were going through my head yesterday into today, because you get to look on all like the national media even, and they're talking about the Milwaukee Brewers and how they just got it. You see Bob Uecker where they're spraying champagne on him, and he says, "I peed my pants," and it's hilarious, and to just, they interview these guys. They interview Matt Arnold and Pat Murphy and Bob Uecker, and you see like there's a different type of emotion than how they go through everything. Like you can tell that they're like proud of the work that they've done. They're proud of what's unfolding in front of their eyes. This is not a robotic team like you've seen in the past with the Craig Counsell and a David Stearns. There's a lot, there's just a lot more emotion. I think there's a lot more care that goes into these players. It feels like a tight knit family. This is just, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm going to try to keep my expectations low, because if I have them high and they break my heart, then that can ruin my emotion when it goes to outside of watching sports. And I try to not do that. But it's been cool stuff, and I'm excited. Don't break my heart again, Brewers. All right, we'll flip the page. Getting excited about some other things. The Green Bay Packers, you saw it on Twitter yesterday. Jordan Love was in practice, and this happened right after I released the podcast. I was a little frustrated that I didn't wait a little bit, but I work too. I got to do things, so I try to just fit the podcast in when I can. But Jordan Love, he was limited in practice, but Adam Schefter actually had a tweet out. And he said that one of the sources said that it is possible that he plays. He said it's at best a 50-50 chance, but he also said that he wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Love was out there on Sunday to face the Tennessee Titans. And that is what a turn of events here in 2 weeks, where we went from thinking that Jordan Love was going to miss the entire season to, okay, a 4 to 6 week injury. Okay, maybe now 3 to 4 weeks. And now he might be back on Sunday. He might miss 1 week, really. And the fact that they have him out there, and of course they say that the biggest indicator is how he feels the day after practice. So really right now the team probably has a better idea of what the possibilities are that Jordan Love gets out there for Sunday's game, because a lot of it's the day after. It's you get injured, you put a little work on it, you got to see how things sit overnight, you got to see how your body bounces back. Well, we know Jordan Love has an interesting, they literally said it's, quote, a silly body, and that's why he didn't blow out his ACL. So he's just got one of them weird body types that just bounces back. He heals quick, and he's done this before. He tore his meniscus back in college at Utah State. They put a brace on, so it's not his first time going through this kind of stuff. I believe it is at least his first recorded time of an MCL injury. But what we're seeing right now, like, he was practicing. I saw him doing like the footwork drills and stuff. Like, things look relatively stable. Slap a brace on it. But of course, and we know Green Bay is to be cautious. You gave this guy a lot of money. It doesn't matter if you win this week 3 game against Tennessee. You would much rather have him for a week 16 or 17 or 18 game, or boy, why not even the playoffs? Just make sure you get him in there. You know that he can protect himself. And that's what this franchise has done. They have not thrown guys out there in a situation where they're going to further injure themselves. But we got some more things to be excited about. Boy, it was another exciting day here on A Little Bit of Cheese. We got Milwaukee facing Arizona. So hopefully the boys aren't hungover. I saw they were going pretty hard in their celebration after the game yesterday. But another hard series. You got a 4-game set now against the Diamondbacks. You're just 2 games back of LA and 3 games back of Philadelphia. They're fighting for that 1 or 2 seed, and we'll see what these boys can go and pull it out. So that game will be on tonight, Thursday Night Football as well. I'll have both on, but once again, I want to thank you guys for being with us today. I am your host, Cody Depius, and this has been another edition of A Little Bit of Cheese, your daily bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast.